Many thanks, Pavel. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the sanctions imposed on Russia by the EU, the United States, and the UK following the invasion of Ukraine are having an impact. Moscow's ability to access and move finances is considerably restricted. The same goes for other entities hit by the sanctions, and the pressure is only going to increase. Going forward, how are Moscow, Russian businesses, and citizens going to be able to generate funds, to move money internationally, to access foreign exchange? A recent policy brief from the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, entitled Going for Gold, points to gold and illicit networks being a likely part of the answer. It wouldn't be the first time that gold and its illicit markets are used to bypass sanctions. Venezuela is a clear example of that. In 2014, Venezuela was targeted by several waves of American, European, and British sanctions. In 2011, Venezuela legal revenue from oil export were $73 billion. In 2016, it decreased to $22.6 billion. In 2020, 743 million. The collapse of the oil economy pushed Maduro's regime into increasing the chaotic exploitation of the vast mineral resources, gold, diamond, coltan, rare earth elements, located southern Venezuela. Due to the illegal Arco Minero del Orinoco decree, Venezuela is the Amazon country with the highest number of illegal mines. As the OECD reports, Maduro's regime has systematically blurred out the Venezuelan mining sector. No information, no data, no reports make more difficult to denounce the crimes, the abuse, and the corruption. This mining policy promotes violence, slavery, child labor, and prostitution. Venezuela's mining industry has become parasitized by a vast organized crime program that has reached every level of the political and military apparatus. The situation is an example of a new way of surviving for a regime that systematically violates human rights, as the United Nations has already admitted. Illegal exploitation and exportation prosper by taking advantage of the centralized flow going through the Venezuelan central bank. OECD estimates place the production potential at 75 tons of fine gold. That has made Nicolás Maduro the equivalent of $4.4 billion a year, enough money for him to maintain his grip on power. In 2019, the United States blacklisted the Banco Central of Venezuela, that almost entirely cutting off the Venezuelan financial system from the rest of the world's economy. It is now suspected that Russia, having promised to support Venezuela, smuggled tons of Venezuelan gold to various foreign markets by air in order to circumvent sanctions. There, the gold was converted in foreign exchange, including US dollars and European euros, then returned to Venezuela. Let us now take a look at the situation in Africa. The presence of Russian private military companies like the Wagner Group, gold mines majority owned by Russian entities, warm relations between Moscow and host governments in Africa, create potential motivation and opportunity for sanctions evasion via the gold sector. In 2017, the Wagner Group was deployed in Sudan. Sudan is one of the biggest African gold producers and exporters. There have been reports that Russian entities may have been exporting tons of gold from the country. In February 22, the deputy leader of the Sudanese junta led a delegation to Moscow in a sign of closer ties between the two countries. 2017, the Wagner Group has also been deployed in the Central African Republic. Following a trip by President Touadéra to Russia, Russia agreed to provide military support in exchange for access to Central African Republic mineral deposits. The Central African Republic government granted gold and diamond mining licenses to a Russian-owned company interconnected with the Wagner Group, according to UN panel of experts of the Central African Republic. Since March 22, Russian mercenaries have allegedly killed dozens of illegal workers from artisanal mines in the Central African Republic near the border with Sudan. Mali is another major African gold producer. In December 21, the Wagner Group reportedly entered Mali following the country's request for private military support. Since January 22, Mali is facing its own economic sanctions, with the Economic Community of West African States closing all land and air borders with the country. Russia and China blocked a proposed statement by the UN Security Council in January 22 to endorse the Economic Community of West African States sanction. Yet, according to GI Talk investigations, gold continues to flow out of the country to international transit and trade hubs. Russia evades sanctions by laundering the gold on transit and end markets. Let's have a look at Russia's central bank reserves evolution since the annexation of Crimea. In 2014, US dollars representing 39% of Russian reserves. By June 21, they were only 16.4%. In the same time period, Russia's gold reserves have more than doubled, 8.9% to 21.7%. Illicit gold markets and gold laundering are a way for Moscow to generate profits and move funds across borders. Gold can be physically moved around the world without transiting through electronic financial markets, including SWIFT, financial messaging. That makes it difficult to track. Moscow could use foreign exchange reserves accessed through illicit gold markets to pay for its imports, to fund its military operations, or to compensate Russian oligarchs for the losses they have incurred because of the sanctions. And beyond the Russian government, other sanctions entities could also use criminal networks to launder and smuggle gold. The increasing presence of Russian actors in the West African gold mining sector requests adequate actions to make sanctions efficient. We now find ourselves in a process of separation between the democratic world and the world ruled over by authoritarian regimes. The invasion of Ukraine constitutes an accelerator of the decoupling that started during the pandemic. Russia has excluded itself from the global economic system for a very long time. Slava Ukraini.